preparing the live stream.
Ooh.
Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. This is very exciting. Setting up your meeting for YouTube Live. Very exciting. Okay, here we go. Okay, redirecting onto YouTube. Okay. Oh, look. Oh, hold on 1 second. Let me see if I could do one more thing.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, damn it. Okay, I'm going to have to do this again. But now that I know, because I had this on pause. So let me unpause it. And now we'll do everything over. So now we're recording, right? Okay. So now let's go live stream. Oh, I think we're still live streaming. Oh.
It says it's live on YouTube on my part.
Nice. Okay, perfect. All right.
Yay.
So here we go. Well, hello, everybody. It is your favorite day of the week. It is time for another episode of the Reality Reading Rainbow, where I talk about books written by your favorite reality stars. A lot of them are from Bravo, and I try to make sense of them. I am your host, Les Kurkendaal-Barrett, and we are trying something new today. I am actually live streaming this as I record the podcast, and I am probably the most not tech-savvy person you will meet, so let's cross our fingers. And not only do I talk about books, I do interviews as well. And so today I have someone who actually, I'm seeing her for the first time, but we talk quite a bit. Now, as I've been sharing on this podcast, I have been just fascinated and fixated and sucked in by Clubhouse. And one of the things I love about Clubhouse is I'm getting to meet all sorts of really cool content creators. And this is one of the really cool content creators. So everybody, let me introduce to you my friend, Paige B. And before we go on, go to Insta and follow her on French Fries with Paige. Follow her, give her a follow. Because she's insightful, she is fun, she is funny. So let's get into this. Welcome, Paige. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Les. Thank you. And hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. It's so nice to see you, for real.
So Paige, how did you, because you're a reality fan just like I am, how did you first get turned on to reality shows? Primarily Bravo. How did you first get turned on to Bravo?
Oh, well, my children just turned on some music. But so when I was in high school, actually, Real Housewives came on. Hold on 1 second. I have some music coming from the basement. I will be right back.
Okay. Live streaming, folks.
It's live streaming. That's probably...
Anyway, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this time to let you know that you can find me on Gmail at therealityreadingrainbow@gmail.com. Like I said, I talk about books, so I am always open to suggestions from the listeners. If you ever want to suggest a book to me, send it to that email. I will read it. Some of the best books that I have read have been listener suggestions. Like, for a matter of fact, one of my most popular episodes is the House of Hilton, the Big Kathy episodes. That was a listener suggestion. The Danielle Staub book I read. That was a listener suggestion. The Mama D from the Real Housewives of Dallas book that I read, that was a listener suggestion. So I am always open to listener suggestions. And also, before I get back to Paige, one more thing, I also have a Patreon as well. I read these books. These books cost money. So, hey, if you have a couple of extra bucks to throw my way, don't hesitate to do it. Like I always say, I understand that this time is, it's a rough time for a lot of people. So if you don't have the bucks, that is fine. I would rather have your listens than my, because at the end of the day, your presence is my present. So remember that. And Paige is back. So let's hello.
Sorry, I probably should have mentioned that the children are downstairs before we decided to go on the live stream, but thank you for your patience. But yes, okay. So I got into the Housewives like from the very beginning with Orange County. I think like Laguna Beach, was like totally like my age group. Like I was in high school. It was like Team LC, Team Kristen was a big thing. So when the Real Housewives of Orange County came in, I just like got really into that. Atlanta, New York. So I've been there from the beginning. New Jersey too. I fell off the wagon with New Jersey kind of partway through, but I mean, I've just been obsessed ever since the beginning.
So now, I'm not sure if you know this or not, but aren't the people who produced or had something to do with Orange County, didn't they have something to do with Laguna Beach?
I don't know. It's very possible though, but I know it was like a Desperate Housewives,
Right.
was happening all at the same time, and Laguna Beach. So there was just like that kind of natural progression. And when you saw it for the first time, I mean, it's very different than what it is now, but I can see that there was probably something, in that area. Like just reality shows seem to be so new and everything that I would not be surprised.
And so for me, I knew about Laguna Beach, but I was more of a real world person. And but then I actually, even though I didn't watch Laguna Beach, I did watch The Hills.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I really liked The Hills. And so people like Kristen Cavallari, I became familiar with because she came into the later seasons of The Hills.
And isn't it crazy how it's all full circle now with Madison and Kristen? And
right.
It's so crazy the context that we need to have to understand all these things that goes way back.
Right. And so one of the reasons why you're here, other than the fact that you're my friend and I love you, is you are going to be, the thing is about Club Bravo on Clubhouse is there are a lot of rooms, and Club Bravo is like the biggest Bravo centered room on Clubhouse. You're going to be having a club called the Club Bravo Book Club. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yes, absolutely. So we're going to start, like, for example, this is our first room tonight. Brian Moylan is coming in. We're going to be interviewing him, doing a little Q&A, which is the great part about Clubhouse. So if you're seeing this now, definitely come in because it's your chance to talk to him and ask him whatever burning question you have. And then after that, the next week's following, we will be diving into the book. It comes out on May 25th. And so then we are just going to kind of keep that momentum going. And sorry about the noise.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Make sure that we keep getting more authors to come in. And, Housewife is always likely to drop by and everything. So super excited to dig in.
And I'm telling you now, because of the Reality Reading Rainbow, I am going to be a regular in your group.
Oh, and I expect it.
And when we're done, I want to talk to you about having you on here more, having you on here more and talking about books more and,
Absolutely.
And I just realized since this is live streaming, people will see this today. People are seeing it like now. So if you're watching this now, go to Club Bravo on Clubhouse tonight. So how did you manage to get Brian Moylan to come on? That's a pretty good get.
I know, right? Well, it's crazy. Here, hold on one more second.
Oh, sure. Anyway, so as she's...
Sorry, I was just making sure that I knew. No, I just messaged him and he responded, and I think he knew Dave. So we kind of checked it all out and everything checked out. So you just got to ask.
I learned that I actually, it's funny that you say that because I learned that with this podcast. Now, this podcast was initially going to be about books and books only. But when the Erica and Tom Girardi stuff, which if you are listening and you don't know, Erica Girardi, aka Erica Jane, is a Real Housewife of Beverly Hills, and she and her husband are in some hot water right now.
Gosh, yeah.
So Ronald Richards, the legal analyst, he kept on having these tweets, and somebody was like, you should ask him to be on your podcast. And I was like, well, I've never interviewed anybody for my podcast, really. I interviewed Kate Casey, but Kate's a friend. So it was Kate's a friend of mine. So it was no big deal to ask her. And since she's a friend, I wasn't nervous or anything because we shoot the shit anyway. So it was literally just kind of shooting the shit on camera.
Yes.
But with, this guy, Ronald Richards, he didn't know who I was. My podcast, I'm gaining numbers, but I'm not a high profile podcaster by any means, And I literally just tweeted at him and he was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, wait, what?
Right. I know. I think we forget how these are all just normal people. And it's so funny because I would be more excited to talk to Brian Moylan or the Watch What Crappens guys more than probably a lot of the housewives or a lot of celebrities that I can think of. Right. And so it's like, wait, doesn't everyone in the world feel that way? So yes, no, I'm really, really thankful that he agreed to do it. And it just shows that he's a super cool guy. So I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm totally going to the room tonight because are you allowing audience members to ask questions? Because I have a couple of questions for them.
Yes. I think I'm going to do it, just a quick 15, 20-minute introduction, get into the details of the book, and then open up the stage for a Q&A.
Because the thing is, I've read enough books now on this podcast, and let's face it, they're pretty much 99.9% written by ghostwriters, these books.
Right.
I definitely have some questions for him about being a ghostwriter with some of these women. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yes, I know. And okay, while we're on that topic, what do you think about Carol Radziwill in terms of ghostwriting?
Okay, here's the funny thing. Because I am a New York fan, so I was watching when all that stuff, and for those of you who don't know, Carol Radziwill was on Real Housewives of New York. She's from old money herself because she's Jackie Kennedy's niece, right?
No, she's married to Jackie Kennedy's nephew.
Okay, because I knew there was a Kennedy connection. And so she's a writer. And so during the seasons of her show, one of the biggest arguments that she had with this other housewife, Aviva Drescher, was the fact that Aviva was accusing her of having a ghostwriter. And at the time, Carol was insulted and she was like, how dare you? But now, knowing what I know now, I think Aviva may have been right.
I know. I mean, it was the last thing in the world that I would think were true, but it kind of seems to maybe have some merit.
Yeah. Because now that I've read, it's so funny. Now that I've read a bunch of these books, you can kind of you can tell if it's ghostwritten or not.
Yes, no, absolutely. And I think, okay, I'm so sorry, Les.
No, don't be sorry.
1 second. I'm going to get these kids situated downstairs. Is the live streaming thing, is it?
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay.
I can vamp with the rest of it. So while Paige is taking care of her kids downstairs, you know what? I'm going to use this time to ask all you watchers or listeners, like I said earlier, I'm open to suggestions. Whose book would you like me to read? So far, I've read Mama D from Real Housewives of Dallas. I've read Danielle Staub from the Real Housewives of New Jersey. I've read Denise Richards from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. As a matter of fact, Denise Richards was the first book. And the whole Denise Richards is the reason why we have a podcast. Because I found the Denise Richards book in in a used bookstore for $1, and a podcast was born. Who else have I done? Right now, I'm currently doing Shep from Southern Charm. So, like I said, I am totally open for suggestions. And so, think about it. Think about who you'd like me to talk about. Think about who you're interested in finding out more about, and make some suggestions. Also, I will use this time to let you know that I actually have 2 more podcasts as well. I have a podcast called A Lifetime of Hallmark, where my 2 co-hosts and I talk about your favorite movies on Lifetime and the Hallmark Channel and try to make sense of them. And I also have a soap opera podcast. Oh, yes, I watch soap operas. Surprise, surprise. I mean, think about it. Housewives shows and reality shows are just one step away from soap operas anyway. I watch soaps, and so the podcast is called Less Love Soaps. And I talk about podcasts both in the United States and in the UK. So check out Less Love Soaps as well. I've been on a little hiatus from that one, but I'm back. So check out Less Love Soaps wherever you get podcasts. And Paige is back. So let's get
back again. And hopefully the last time. My childcare did not work out as planned today, but such is life in a pandemic. So yes, I am back. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's
and
okay.
Should be back for good now.
I am a comedian. I do stand-up comedy, and so I'm used to having to vamp. So don't even worry.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. So back to the good stuff.
So where did we leave off?
We were talking about Carol and ghostwriters and things, and Brian Moylan, who is the ghostwriter for Erica Jane, which I have like a million questions about that, but I don't know if I can ask.
Yes. Well, you know what? Whatever you don't want to ask, I will. Wink, wink.
Well, I did listen to him on Danny Pellegrino yesterday, and he did address it in a very eloquent way and things. And so I think he was just kind of saying, like, I don't think that, she had any idea, which I think is very possible.
Right. And think of it this way, too. Even if she did, she wouldn't tell him.
Right. Yeah.
And I know because I read that book. Okay, full disclosure.
Mm-hmm.
I read that book. And nice. I didn't know if that book was supposed to get us to like her. But I left reading that book like disliking her even more.
Really? What were your takeaways?
Okay, so this is what I kind of want to get into, because here's the deal. I did not like her, but I did like the writing. The writing was good. Oh, yeah. It was good writing, but my takeaway from this was that she wasn't really given it. So, like, how she comes off as surfacey on the show?
Right.
That's how she came off in her book. She came off very surfacey, kind of braggy.
Right.
But I left her book still knowing nothing about her.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And it's really, I compare her to Cam Westcott in a lot of ways, because totally different natures, but they're both using such a front or mask to who they are. And they're both trying to say, well, I'm so smart and I'm intelligent, but they're not like moving authentically in the world. So I think there's really a big parallel between those 2 women.
Right. And the thing is, I don't fault Brian, because like I said, I thought the writing was good. And
he's a great writer. You can only do so much.
Right. You can only use what they give you.
Right.
So if your housewife or your subject that you're ghostwriting for isn't going to give you anything, you got to just use what you got.
Yeah, so absolutely. Oh, no, not at all. I mean, like, I'm obsessed with his writing and things. I haven't read that book because I think Erica Jane, like, she's just not my favorite, you know?
But here's the thing. here's the thing. So she was never my favorite, and I kind of disliked her, but was like, you know.
Right.
I left reading that book not being able to stand her.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's really interesting. And it's more because she just wouldn't give up any information. Like you just didn't.
And her attitude, because I mean, I'm at the point now where I've read so many of these books. And a lot of these books, so the vibe you get from a lot of these books are like, okay, so this is your chance to get to know me. A lot of times the vibe is, I am misunderstood, and this is why. Or
right.
This is why I act the way I act.
Sure.
Or do what I do. And
right.
so a lot of times, even like I'm talking, okay, there's only 2 books that I left not feeling sympathetic towards the person and getting to feeling like I got to know the person, or even, that's why she does what she does. There are 2 people.
Okay.
Danielle Staub and Erica Jane.
That's amazing. Yes.
I mean, even Ramona's book, even after reading Ramona's book,
okay, now that's
I
surprising.
felt sympathy. I felt sympathy for her, and I felt like, oh, okay, this is why she acts the way she acts, and this makes total sense, and this tracks. Because a lot of times what I do too is after I read the book, I kind of do like an episode on, okay, so does she act on the show the way she portrays herself in the book? Even Ramona was what I got from Ramona's book is Ramona might do shitty things and be kind of a shitty human being, but she's very self-aware.
Sure.
And like some of the stuff that she did, like in the early episodes, in her book, she was like, yeah, like one of the things she talks about, like, for example, is remember when her and Bethany were walking across the Brooklyn Bridge?
Oh, how could I forget?
Was, like, berating her the entire time.
Yes.
In her book, Ramona's like, you know what? I look back on that and yeah, you know what? I was out of line and I shouldn't have talked to her that way. And she was going through things. And, I am really sorry for what I did. Or another thing she did was, I know I was very mean to Alex and Simon, and I realized that what I was doing was out of line. And if I could go back, I would change the way. So that is how she portrayed herself in the book, right? But Erica was like, since she had that wall up, she gave you nothing. There was no being self-aware.
Oh.
There was no being self-aware. There was no push to make herself relatable. None of that.
Sure.
None of that.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what you need from her. Like, because she'll say it when she wants to, but she's not going to be vulnerable, like, at all. She's not going to actually get down and say, okay, here's the reason I am this person. Here's the reason I need an alter ego. Here's the reason, I'm stiff. Here's the reason I don't engage like in this way. Or when I do, it's very direct and very biting. And so, no, that's disappointing.
And I will go one step further because she really dropped the ball because her book could have actually helped so many women because her part of her story and part of the story in the book is how, in middle age, I decided that I wanted to go after my dream and become a singing star. And even though I was over 30 and at the age, even though like I was pushing 40 and at the age where a lot of women start to get started, I didn't let that stop me. And I pursued my career anyway.
Yeah, because that's really inspiring.
Right. And so this could have been a book about, hey, ladies, you know what? This is what you do. This is the mindset you need to have. This is how you can do this. And that would have been, I think it would have been like a phenomenal bestseller. But no, she didn't do that.
Yeah. Like, did you read Jessica Simpson's book by chance?
I have it. I have it. I haven't read it yet, but I have it. It's in the queue.
It sounds like what you're describing is the opposite of Jessica Simpson's book. Hers is amazing, and it tells everything. And like she does not have to. She's a billionaire. She has $1 billion company, you know? And so I know she's not a housewife, but just like she just throws it all open. I mean, like it's wild. It's wild. The first page is how she talks about being intoxicated at 7 a.m. at her daughter's school concert. Like she is, and she goes through all of these things with such humility and vulnerability, and just completely gave me an entirely new perspective on her and explained everything that we've ever seen, and just is so good for women. But yeah, I think I agree with what you're saying. I mean, I haven't read the book, but with Erica, just in general, I would like to see that. I understand it was kind of a persona at the beginning, but as time goes on, I would like to, chip away some of those walls and not have this weird, two-dimensional figure there, because I think she has a lot of interesting things to say, actually, but it must be like a place of fear. She just really doesn't want to go past what she shows.
Well, I tell you what, she better do some tap dancing this season, which starts in 2 days. She better knock that wall down.
I'm so excited. Are you so excited?
I really am. Well, because I want to see if she's going to actually go there. I have my doubts.
And I know I am feeling the same way, because we never get it from Beverly Hills. We get a lot of good stuff out of that show, but it's not like lay it out on the table kind of show, obviously. And so I cannot wait to see if it's going to go deeper this year, because I think they've gotten the feedback, whether they want to take it or not. They know that people find it boring, the Lucy Apple Juicy, the Denise Richards thing. They got rid of Teddy, who I think was perpetuating those storylines, kind of slower storylines, on and on and on. So now we have the big juicy apple. Like, I just hope they're going to take a bite of it, because this is good.
Now, and this is something that I've been wondering, especially lately, with the antics on this channel, which are not good antics. How much do you think they actually listen to what the viewers want?
I think they listen when it comes into ratings. When it comes into the money part, I think they're listening. I think they tried to spend a ton of money on Denise Richards, and we got this kind of, she didn't want to talk about what they were trying to talk about. It's like, that's why they're paying you the check, is to talk about it. And there were a lot of problems, and I'm kind of team Denise in the end, but I think that when it comes to people saying this is really getting boring, that they will listen, because they need to spice it up, whether they're capable of it or not. I'm interested, because it seems like they're trying something new. I mean, they've got Kathy Hilton there now. They have Sutton, who is going to go up against Erica. It's not going to be.
I can't wait. I
cannot wait. I think they're going to get somewhere. I'm hopeful, but not that hopeful.
And the thing is, though, the fact that Sutton got a promotion after this, because wasn't she only supposed to be a friend of this season?
Yes, I don't know how that worked exactly, but I do know she's full-time, and I am so excited about it.
Yeah, I think it's because what she did this season.
I hope so.
But it's so funny that you say that, because I was team Denise too. Because it was kind of like, for me, how I felt about with Kenya and the Bolo thing on the Real Housewives of Atlanta this year. Like, why do you care?
Right.
Why do you care? Why do you care if Denise may have had like a tryst with Brandy Glanville? So what?
Exactly. That's how I felt too. And it's like Teddy has run off Lisa Vanderpump and Denise Richards at this point. Like, I don't, because she's getting too in the weeds and too in, like, she doesn't get the second degree of it all. She doesn't want to play the game like it's supposed to be played. So I'm glad she's gone, but I'm worried that Lisa Rinna is a big part of that too. And I think that Lisa Rinna, like, I'm worried, I already know she's aligned with Erica. I'm worried that she's not going to be capable of anything that's on her. So she's kind of just staying to the side, all the time on all these issues, or just goes at, like Denise, so hard that she never has to go, talk about herself.
And this is okay. And this last season made me dislike Lisa Rinna. And this is why. I read, actually, the very first book that I read for this podcast was the Denise Richards book. And the book was an older book. I want to say it was like maybe 2010, 2011. It was an older book, but she talks about Lisa Rinna in her book. She mentions her in her book and mentions how they were very good friends in this book. So that their friendship was a legitimate friendship outside of the show.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That grosses me out because you just see how hungry Lisa Rinna is for this show. And then, so to throw her friend under the bus, out her, and drag her through the mud when, like, she doesn't want to be, really for no reason, because it was juicy for like 2 seconds, just like the Bolo thing was juicy for 2 seconds. Like, everyone was like, whoa, but then that's all we needed from it. And I just couldn't believe she really, really dragged that, all the way to the end to ruin that friendship.
Right. And don't get me wrong. I'm a performer and an actor and a comedian in Hollywood as well. And I'm not even, I am low level. So I get the hustle. I get the hustle. I get the, when Lisa Rinna talks about hustle, I get it. I respect it. But there comes a point where you don't fuck your friends over.
Right. I mean, yeah, no, absolutely. And it's just, I don't like people who think that the viewers are stupid either. I think she thinks she knows what she's doing. And so we are just going to be, oh, wow, she's really playing the game. She's kind of that, Kris Jenner, Lisa Vanderpump wannabe sort of trying to be the puppet master, or, just trying to act too much. And it's reality TV. I know that there are some scenes that are redone and things like that, but we can tell when it's real or when it's not.
And she wrecked her friendship with Garcelle as well. She and Garcelle were like good. Rinna and Garcelle were like long-term friends.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Rinna, because Rinna and Denise were long-term friends. And Rinna and Garcelle were like friends.
Wow.
And I could even see if it's like you're on one of these housewife shows and it's someone who you only know on the show. Because you know how they throw them together. They say that they're friends, and maybe these shows started out with them being legit friends, but they aren't anymore. Right. So I could see if it was one of the other ladies who she was friends with for show purposes, but these are like your real, your real friends. And another thing too is, and where I was getting, which I got off on a tangent. So in Denise's book, the way that Denise was acting season 2, it tracked with her book. Because remember how even Garcelle was saying, you need to speak up. You can't stop letting these women walk over you. You need to speak up. You need to defend yourself. Well, in Denise's book, one of the things she talks about how she hates confrontation, and when she's confronted with something, she hates arguing and she clams up.
Yeah.
And so when she was acting that way on the show, I was like, oh, okay, this makes total sense the way that she's acting, and this makes total sense the way that she's not sticking up for herself like she should.
100%.
And so that's what So that's what I think that you should get out of these books, which we did not get with Erica. So even if Erica is contrite this season, and even if she's gives more of herself this season, there's kind of no way to track it.
Right. Yeah. No, that's true. It's true. And you would like to know why she likes to shut people down that way. Like when she does that to Sutton in the preview. Oh my gosh. I mean, we saw that with Eileen, so it's not that, and Teddy. It's not that surprising, but it's she's definitely not coming in, vulnerable, like, oh my gosh, I'm so shocked. She's still got that mask up. So it is fascinating. And I would like to know where that came from. Right.
So this season though, you better throw that mask away. Seriously, this is her season to make herself as sympathetic as possible. That is her homework this season, I think, is to make herself as sympathetic as possible.
Yes, absolutely. Her and Jen Shaw.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What do you think about the whole Jen Shaw thing from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City?
I mean, I was shocked. I was shocked when she got arrested. I knew the businesses did not compute. I knew the funds did not compute. Like, what? Like, what are you doing? This office, like, and you have all these assistants, but they don't have like titles, but you're running this business thing and you're using this weird jargon, like mixed together. No, like I knew something was wrong there, but I had no idea it was this level. I didn't know she was capable of running an entire ring of telemarketing scams.
I agree because then let's face it, on all of these shows, the numbers don't add up a lot.
Right. Oh yeah. I can think of a million different people where it's like, wait.
On all these shows, like the numbers rarely, I would say, other than Beverly Hills, right. and maybe Dallas.
I think New York does a lot in this like sadness, like from where we've seen them go, like where they're living now.
Right. But so the numbers didn't add up, but I was like, it's a housewife show. But then, when all that stuff came out, I was like, wait a minute. My first
I thought they
was,
just took out a loan they couldn't pay. I had no idea it was
like Teresa.
Right. Oh my gosh. No, I mean, and then the way she posted the day after at the hair salon, the whole thing is just mind-blowing, and I cannot wait to see how it plays out. I still can't believe she's filming. I mean, going against any type of legal advice that I'm sure anyone would give her, legal 101, and just out there on in the state of Utah, because she can't go outside of the state, but just acting like nothing's happening.
Well, and the fact that she jumped on social media, I was like, girl, lay low. Don't say say nothing. Because one of the things that I've learned from talking to Ronald Richards a lot, is all of this stuff that they are doing on camera can be used against them. And it may not be, they may not be able to use it for evidence per se, but they could use it in terms of, okay, she doesn't feel any remorse because look at what she's doing, Right.
Like you did a crime, but you like sentencing or something like that.
Right. You did this. You did. I'm sorry. You did this big crime, but you're still shopping.
Right. Yes. You're out like posting, luxurious dinners and things like that. And driving in fancy cars and listening to Lauryn Hill, like not a care in the world, getting your hair done, showing your looks. Like it's very, very, I don't know. It's just, ooh.
And then I didn't know about you, but there was also a part of me. Didn't you kind of think, okay, how dumb are you to be doing a crime and on national television? Isn't that when you stay off of television?
Right. Right. I mean, I think it was like she did it to get to this place. Like, being not on TV, not having this excessive spending, not having that was not an option for her. Like being just kind of simple Jen in Utah, she had to be there. And so I think she's not going to let it go because this is why she did it all for this moment.
Right. And once again, like I said about Rinna, I admire the hustle. Hey, don't get me wrong. Yeah. I admire hustle, but be smart.
Right. Yes. I mean, and at least Rinna's just ruining friendships and not people's lives. So I will give her that. Right. But wow, no, it's wild, but it does make for really good TV. So that I'm happy about.
And the part that excites me the most, did you hear the rumors? And people are saying that they're just rumors that like a member of her team or her Shaw squad was undercover. Did you hear those?
I heard the rumor. I heard it was not true, but I did hear that rumor. And I would, I mean, my dream job is to be like an undercover agent, but I would be horrible at it. Like, I mean, I would not even an undercover agent, but like an intelligence officer, like very like Carrie Matheson from Homeland, but I would be so bad at it. Like, I would just be like, you guys, this is disguise, like, this is not good.
See, because I think of it more of like Charlie's Angels. Like, remember the Charlie's Angels would go undercover?
Yes, exactly. Like just like a different colored wig and like pair of glasses. Right. But no, I would love to do that. That would be a really super fun job. But also it's a dangerous job working for Jen Shaw, as we've seen.
Yeah. And then that's another thing too. Because did you hear the tapes of like when she was talking to one of her employees? And my thought was, what if that employee was the undercover person and she's yelling at him and he's like, oh, you just keep yelling, Jen.
Keep recording.
Keep it going. You're going to get
I mean, that's the thing about her the whole time too. It's like, have we seen a housewife that angry all the time with so little incitement? You know what I'm saying? Like just everything that happened, she went off the handle. Like, and this is the first season. It's Salt Lake City. It's not a New Jersey table flipping kind of, city. This is the, land of Mormon culture and, all these, I don't know, different cultures are shown on this show, which is great, but like, It just seems to be a very mild, reserved culture when we look at Meredith Marks and I mean even Whitney, she has a fabulous like very open-minded approach to a lot of things, but she's a pretty mild person. I think Heather, like I don't think they have a lot of yelling matches is what I'm trying to say. And except Jen Shaw found a reason to yell at every single one of those people.
And then at first when she was behaving like that, I thought, oh, you know what? She studied the show. She knows what's going to get her camera time. She's doing this, to be the focal point, like to be the Leanne Locken or something. But then after it ended and those tapes came out, I'm like, oh no, that's just her.
No, 100%. That's what that was like your book that you're talking about. Like, what is this person like they are on the show? Yeah, they are like they are on the show. And that really surprised me. And I think you could get hints that it was true from like how her husband talked to her like a child and things like that. He was just placating her. Like, you like, let's not, bring out the dragon. Like, let's try to keep you contained and keep you happy because I don't think he likes to deal with that.
Happy wife, happy life.
Yes. It's like happy life or you're dead.
But I gotta tell you though, for a first season, I thought that the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City was outstanding.
Oh, outstanding. Like Dallas needs to take notes. They're on their 5th season. And this is the stuff that they're giving us when Salt Lake City could give us all that on the first. And yes, no, it was so good.
Let's talk about Dallas. Let's talk about Dallas.
We can talk about Dallas.
Okay. What were your thoughts about this season? I have them, but you're the guest. Yeah. What were your thoughts?
I mean, there's so many thoughts. And I mean, this week, we get started with the obvious of like, this week was so draining as a Bravo viewer. I think it was just really disappointing. I think, for people who are wishful thinkers like me, I was like, well, this one will come around and this will be the time that Bravo really just does something and kind of, does the right thing right away. And the fact that they haven't, the fact that they didn't is just, it's more than disappointing. It really makes me rethink a lot of things. And I am excited for Brian Moylan's book in the sense that I want to see, I know it's going to be a lot about like how things work, like in Bravo. And I think that will be very good to know and for people to understand, especially myself, because I'm not in TV or film. So I've never worked in like a network, or anything like that. So I am a little lost when it comes to who I should be criticizing exactly. However, I cannot believe the like targeted bullying that came from the Westcotts, and I'm really just grossed out by it. And feel for Dr. Moon. The season in general it was all about. It was all about nothing except, the things that came up were all about Tiffany Moon's culture, being Chinese and things like that, which was just really disappointing in itself. So I was already turned off by it. But then to have what I saw on Twitter come out with her husband, her brother-in-law, Cameron herself, like that was really gross. So it just really just drove it home. Like this was not great. Started off with Brandy. Where was the fun? Where was the good part? And not even like fun, but like, where was just like people not acting like a-holes? And, Carrie, like there was no lightness. There was no happiness. Like it was just dark. And no, it was a bad season for content, and then a bad season for just the network because of racism.
And that's the thing that I can't get over is the fact that they were blatantly racist. Like it wasn't even there were more blatant racist things than actual microaggressions. So yesterday on Clubhouse, there was a room about performative activism, and it was like an amazing room. Did you get a chance to see
it was a long one, but I was in and out, so I did hear a lot of it.
Because one of the examples that was used was the fact that last year on ABC, Roseanne Barr made racist statements. Yes. And she made racist statements. She was gone from the network within 24 hours. And not only was she gone, remember at the time, the Roseanne show was back on ABC. Not only did they get rid of her, they kept the show. They just were changing the name. She's gone and kept it moving. And this is ABC. Yeah. So if a top network channel, if a network can do this, what's the problem? What's Bravo's problem?
Yeah, and that show was going to make a lot of money too. And I think it lost a lot of money because of that. And so I agree. And I think what Bravo is missing from the viewers who are trying to be vocal is they did this, they did the big article. Was it Vulture who did the article as well? Yeah. So they did this big article addressing it, and they addressed Kelly Dodd, and they said, well, we want to represent, you go different places in America and you get different cultures, you get different political views, you get different opinions. And it's like, okay, she's married to a Fox News anchor. Like, so of course she's going to support a lot of, ideas on the right. And you know what, like, you're not a bad person for being a Republican. You're not a, good person for being a Democrat. Like there's politics, and this has nothing to do with politics, in my opinion. Like these people are targeting Tiffany Moon because she's Asian, and they're saying horrible things to her. It's targeted bullying. So, Kelly Dodd can be an asshole, and that's one thing, but like the Westcotts are going after an Asian woman, her job, her like, you know, saying really derogatory things about her character, you know, comparing things to the Holocaust. Like it's really, really nasty. And so I'm not saying that like there should just be a pass on everything that Kelly Dodd does.
Right.
Like I think everything, but I don't think she is going after one person in this way and like trying to hurt her. I don't know what you think about that.
You know, well, the thing is with Kelly Dodd, you know, with the Drunk Wives Matter, for those of you who don't know, Kelly Dodd had a hat, and I'm not even going to say alleged because it's on film. Yes. A hat that said Drunk Lives Matter, which was absolutely making fun of the Black Lives Matter movement,
right? That was disgusting.
Which was absolutely racist. And the thing is, and I agree with you, Paige, as far as you can be a Republican, you can be a conservative and not a racist asshole.
Right.
Being conservative does not make you a racist. There are Black conservatives. There are conservatives from every race. You know, Black conservatives, Latinx conservatives. So you can be So you could be a conservative. You could be conservative leaning and not be a big old hanging racist. So that's why
I forgot about the Drunk Wives Matter hat. That is really disgusting. So I take back a little bit of what I said about that because I totally. Oh God, why do these people just not make it simple? Like you don't have to be a jerk.
So their argument about there are people in this country that think that way. No, no, yes, they're called racists. And so if their argument was, we want to show conservative people, that's fine. You can show conservative people. You can show people who are Republicans, just not racist ones. I don't think it's that hard.
Well, I'm sure it's like Stephanie Holman. I'm sure she's a Republican.
Oh, I'm sure they all are.
I'm sure they all are. So, you know, and there's one that's acting like a lunatic. I mean, well, and there's Brandy, but it's something that can be dealt with like case by case basis if that's what you wanted to do, but you're going to have to deal with it.
When it comes to Brandy, I doubt she even votes.
She seems busy.
I wouldn't be surprised if Brandy didn't vote.
Brandy. That's the thing. This isn't even a fun one. Like, the whole point is like, that's not fun to talk about politics. This is not fun. You know what I mean?
Not fun.
It's not a fun conversation because it's just sad. It's dark. Like, it's not goofy, and all their stupid jokes and their stupid pranks. Like, it's not great.
And even like now, like whenever I have this conversation, I leave the conversation being very angry. And I leave the conversation being very angry at Bravo because I'm like, okay, this was your chance to make a stand. And even if they would have shown this going on, but then said somewhere, either in the reunion or somewhere, yes, this happened. We don't agree with this happening. And you know, racism isn't cool. If they said something like that throughout the season, then I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, what these women did sucked, but they're showing it to make a point, like this stuff still happens, and they don't agree with it. I would have totally been on board with that.
Right, because you're just validating that it's all okay if you do nothing.
Right.
You know, and then you're just making the people who are angry about it just look like angry people because you're just saying, oh, they're just angry and it'll get better over time. They'll get less angry or they'll forget about it and we'll just keep moving on. It's like, no, you need to address it. You need to be clear about where you stand and protect your cast members, protect your employees.
Right. And then Bravo finally did, after days and days and days, did come out with a statement about, you know, they support Tiffany Moon, but they did not mention any of the crap that the Westcotts were doing. And I would say allegedly, but once again, it's all on Twitter. So
Right.
you can see it, what they did.
Well,
And I think
and you don't have to, you don't have to support Tiffany Moon if they weren't acting like this.
right.
The only reason you're making a statement is because they're being horrible. So condemn them.
Right. And another thing, yeah. And so Bravo, they're like, yeah, we support Tiffany Moon, but they didn't make a statement saying we condemn the Westcotts for what their racism, their blatant racism. They didn't say it.
Right. Yeah. No, we are on the same page here because this is just a very poignant example, and it's been disappointing to watch.
Yeah.
100%.
Now, what has not been disappointing is New York. The Real Housewives.
I was going to say, let's talk about Ebony. Let's talk about New York.
Because the Real Housewives of New York has their first Black cast member as well. And it's looking like it's going to go way differently than Tiffany's first season.
Yes. And okay, so I have a question for you on Leah, the Leah of it all. Where do you stand with her?
Okay. So, and I don't hate me, people. I think I'm one of the very few people who actually likes Leah. I like Leah.
Oh my God, I like Leah too. Okay, so thank goodness, because I've been, here's the thing. It's like when you have like a real devil like Cameron,
right.
It's like, it's easy to critique. I think that Leah was in a bad spot. Like she got brought in and had to contrast with these women. And then
she
now
was on a relapse. She was on a relapse when she was brought in.
Oh, yes, that as well. But also just from the standpoint of like, I think she was just operating as kind of a person her age probably operates, but then she was contrasted with these like crazy older ladies, older than her. And then kind of got into, I don't know how you would say it, but she was just kind of like contrasting with maybe some of their problematic things, but then she wasn't doing everything perfect. And so, but it does make me feel good to see how she's really like gelling with Ebony. And I think there is a genuine friendship there.
Yeah. Well, because even on Clubhouse, sometimes they both pop on and they pop in rooms together. I've seen that a couple of times. And this is what I think also with Leah, A, she was on a relapse, but B, I think initially, remember, Tinsley was there too. So she had someone else her age. True. But then Tinsley left and Leah was stuck with all of these older women by herself. Right. So I think if Tinsley would have stayed, it would have turned out differently. Yes.
I think so too. No, I really do. And I think we would have saw a really fun Tinsley if she would have stayed.
Yeah.
Because we saw that one pool scene, which was hilarious. And I think she would have hopefully not gone down a crazy path with Leah, but like, I think she was opening up a little bit more.
And so, I like Leah. I like the fact that she's sober again. Full disclosure, I'm sober. I've been sober for 11 and a half years. Thank you.
Awesome.
But so I like it when sober people can go on these shows and show, hey, we're sober. That doesn't make us any less fun. That doesn't mean that we can't hang. So I'm here for it. Yes. And I do like the fact that when it comes to Ebony, I do like the fact that that Leah's open to hanging with a Black person and doesn't share the antiquated views that a lot of these other women share, because like when it comes to Sonia, when it comes to Ramona, I don't know, but let's use Sonia as an example. I don't think that Sonia is a racist, but at the same time, I don't think that Sonia has dealt with any Black people. So there are things that she's going to do and say that are problematic, i.e. the whole, when the fish, when Ebony showed up at Sonia's house and she was pointing out the black fish and
the white fish,
the white fish yellow fish as a way of saying, I'm fine with this. That,
I know. And at least with Sonia, it's like she's so kooky. I hope it's like, and her heart is in the right place, deep down. Like she was trying and it was just wrong.
Yeah.
And so there's a part of Sonia that like I think is going to be able to work with a more like even a younger, more diverse cast. But I feel like Ramona, it's maybe time for her to go on, and maybe a couple, like just, she's been on forever. She's been great TV. And, I think that's how we're going to have to deal a lot with some of the problematic stuff too, is like creating new casts like Salt Lake City. Right. And letting it be like a nice mix of people at the beginning, rather than the Tiffany Moon situation of like, putting all of the like diversity, like, and make these token, cast members. It's not okay, know? So, yeah.
Oh, do you need to take care of that?
I do. Okay. Thank you.
Hey, live streaming folks. Anyhow, while she's taking care of her child, you know what? So I think this is a great conversation, and I would love to know, what do you think? What do you think about the stuff that's happening on Bravo right now when it comes to race? What changes would you like to see as far as, one of the things that I think that we're going to get into is the fact that, okay, so now on Bravo, what they're doing is they are making sure that they put a person of color on their shows. But that's not effective either, because first of all, they think that and this is my opinion, I feel that they think that we're kind of dumb. And so they are doing this to say, oh, okay, see, we have a Black person on this show right now. Everything's fine. Or see, we have an Asian person on this show. Everything's fine. But then what the person ends up doing for the entire season is educating ignorant people. And that's not, that's bullshit, that's bullshit, because people, Black people or Asian people or any other ethnicity, it is not our job to come in and teach anybody anything, seriously. And so it's, and I've said this a couple of times, and I know I've kind of been harping on it, the fact that Summer House had its first Black member on the show, and the entire season, as I watched it, first of all, as a Black person watching some of these shows where they have like the first Black person or the first Asian person, it's, as a Black person or a person of color, it's stressful to watch them, because I find myself the entire time going, please don't do anything racist. Please don't say anything racist. Please just let this person get through this episode without an incident. And so for me, Summer House, they had their first Black cast member, and I ended up loving the season because the Black cast member on the show made it through the season without having to teach anybody anything or without having to call out somebody's microaggression. And I think that set the bar pretty low, because she was beautiful, but she wasn't necessarily entertaining. But I was so happy that she made it through the season without incident that I was like, oh my God, great job. Which I don't think that's why I should be watching the show. Oh, and Paige is back.
Thanks. I was just thinking while you were talking, I wonder, like, Cameron and Kyle, are they like close to the same age? Because I'm just trying to like, from Summer House.
How old is Cameron? Or how old did she say she is?
I don't know. I want to say around 40, because I'm
going to Google her.
That would be super interesting, because she's acting like Ramona,
I'm gonna Google her right now. Okay, let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. How old is Cameron? I keep on having to remember that it's a K. Cameron. So Cameron Westcott is 38.
Oh my gosh, is she younger than Kyle?
And then let's see, how old is Kyle Cook, right?
I think so, yeah.
How old is Kyle Cook? Is it Kyle Cook? Okay.
He's 38.
Because there's more than one Kyle Cook. I was looking, there's more than one Kyle Cook.
Yes, there's a baseball player or something.
Yeah, because that popped up. So they're the exact same age. Now let me tell you. So I had a guest on the podcast a couple of months ago. Do you know Samaj?
I don't think so.
He has a podcast. I think it's called Samaj Gets Canceled. Yeah, it is. It's called Samaj Gets Canceled. And he's a Black podcaster. And we were talking about the whole Summer House thing. And so Samaj was telling me on the podcast that he actually got a chance to talk to Kyle Cook and interview Kyle Cook. And he said that Kyle Cook told him that the way that he was raised in a household where racism was not tolerated, and that where he was taught that you're no better than anybody else and treat everybody the same. And it showed it showed, because the way that he treated Sierra, it was obvious.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think, it's, and it should be obvious. I mean, I am surprised that, looking at Cameron and things, like, I mean, it's just, I don't know anyone who would act that way towards someone. And I can't believe it. And I mean, same with Kelly Dodd, like, drunk wives matter. Like, that is an obvious thing not to do. The fact that it's not obvious for people, it's so disappointing.
Well, she's in her bubble.
Right.
She's in her bubble. And then she feels that, because she's Mexican, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she's white passing Mexican. So, I've heard her or seen her like use that, like when she's called out for her racism, she's like, well, I'm Mexican. And I'm like, well, but you can still be a racist.
Right. Yeah. And yes, absolutely. And we just need to treat people like, and just listen, and just, it's so disappointing. It's so disappointing, but I am hopeful that, Beverly Hills is going to give us a reprieve from this, and New York will continue to, at least there's going to be some slip ups and things, but I hope, with such intelligent people like Ebony, and I mean, we had Tiffany Moon, but it felt like she was on her own little island of intelligence. I think Leah is smart. And I think, a lot of the women there are at least capable of understanding things.
And were you in Clubhouse when Ebony popped in and she was talking? And from what I gather, I think she and Sonia get along. Didn't you kind of get that? You get what she's talking about, Sonia? It sounds like her and Sonia really get along.
Yes, I think there is a problem with Ramona, but I think, hopefully it's resolved, because she's, Ebony was there and she's promoting the season. I think if it went bad, then she wouldn't, maybe.
And Ebony's been very honest. Like, she hasn't pulled any punches. And so she, I believe, she and Sonia get along.
Yes. Hey, sorry, Les. I think it's about dinner time. I think I've pushed their patient to the end. Okay.
So I'm going to have you back.
I would love to come back anytime. I'm sorry. Sorry for everyone watching. I hope in post you can take out some of the interruptions.
No, you know what? I'm leaving it, because I think I vamped pretty good. And listen, I am a new dad. Yeah, my husband and I are adopting. She's in the home now. She's in our home. She's a little older. But yeah, so my husband and I are adopting. And so when it comes to parental stuff, I have all of a sudden gained some empathy to other people that I never had before. So when it comes to kids, I'm like, oh well, I have a kid now too. I get it. So please don't even think twice about it.
And thank everyone for their patience. And yes, I'm congratulations. I did not know that. And
so before you go, first of all, I'm actually gonna work on getting this podcast out today. What time is your interview with Brian Moylan?
It's at 8 p.m. Eastern. So it'll be 5 p.m. your time.
So I'm looking at my watch, and I actually think that I might even, so this is being live streamed, but I think I might even have time, since I'm not going to edit anything. I think I can gun this out within the next 20 minutes. So this podcast will be up in 20 minutes. So there will be people who, if they listen right away, will still have time to catch you on Clubhouse. What is the name of your room on Clubhouse?
It's going to be Club Bravo Book Club with Brian Moylan. So follow Club Bravo and Dave Quinn and myself, Paige B-E-E. And you will find it. You will see it. So you can message me on Instagram if you need a link to the invite, if you want to skip the line for Clubhouse, and I will get you in. And
one more thing before we go, did you tell us your Insta?
Yes, it's French Fries with Paige. So just written like it sounds, no special characters. French Fries with Paige.
Great. And Paige, thank you for coming on. This will be up in a matter of minutes. And please come back.
I would love to come back, and I will make sure my there we go. My childcare is here this next time.
And hey, on this podcast, we keep it real, so don't even worry about it.
Okay.
And everybody else, until next time, keep reading. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.